family's terms or Homefront's terms. That success is defined by our families and the goals and dreams that they have. So we have formal programming that you'll see here for adult education. We offer the GED right on site here. If any of you think the GED is easy, I challenge you to take that GED test. My senior staff did it, and it was a humbling experience because I would 100% not have my GED. It is a gauntlet. We also do a lot of career support here, so you'll see on this floor, again, getting all the tools in the building, where we're doing career counseling, support, education, partnerships with employers. So if any of you work for major employers, and I know you do, we should talk. You'll see we have a real focus on literacy and education, tutoring for the kids, and other life skills here in the building that you'll see on the tour. Or my computer wants to do things. We're going to skip that. We don't have time for a video. Third core belief is that we believe families need basic necessities to live lives with dignity. This is all the stuff you need. You don't think about it, especially if you're raising kids. You need all these things. So our Furnish the Future program, we take in donated furniture and provide it back to families that are moving into apartments. Apartment is great, but it's not a home without a bed or a kitchen table in it. So our truck is on the road, picking up and delivering, hope all the time. This is downtown on Division Street in South Clinton and Trenton. We run our free store, which we take in donated clothes, housewares, pots and pans, and again, we're providing to our families free of charge once a month, so our families can shop for the clothing and housewares they need. We run a very large food pantry. We actually now call it our Choice Market because we've completely redesigned it. It's over in Lawrenceville at our administrative office because our families can come in and choose the items that they want and they need. You forget about that dignity of choice, especially when it comes to religious, cultural, dietary needs, medical needs that folks have in terms of food. This is our main office over in Lawrenceville at Conference Avenue that we just renovated. Hooray! We also still deliver meals to the families living in those motels. There are families living in motels in Mercer County tonight that don't have access to basic necessities. This is me looking stupid in front of a bunch of diapers. I am so grateful to see the diapers here. Diapers are one of those things you don't think of, but huge expense, right? If any of you have little ones in diapers, you know that you go to Costco and you can easily go broke. Bodegas downtown in Trenton are selling them for $1 a piece. So you're going in with $5 in your pocket and you're trying to figure out how many diapers you can make last until the next time you get paid. So you guys will learn a lot more about diapers today later on. You also can't use public assistance for diapers. You can't use your SNAP or your WIC on diapers. Fourth is around personal wellness. So we have a team here that's really focused on access to physical health, mental health resources. We also run a therapeutic art program that you'll see upstairs at lunchtime. This whole pillar is around, it's not good enough just to have a roof over your head. It's also a sense of thriving, something to live for, something that brings you joy, that you feel healthy and complete. And so it's not just good enough to have a roof over your head. And last but not least, children. Children that are nurtured by love and support can really grow on a path to realizing their possibilities. And so we run a lot of specialized programs for our kids. Our Joy, Hopes, and Dreams, evening and weekend tutoring and enrichment. I love this because I don't know who's more surprised, her or the goat. It's kind of like a magic school bus model. We go and pick up the kids in the motels and shelter and different housing situations and take them out to have adventures, tutoring, educational experience. At the top, you can't really tell, but there's the White House up there. We run an 8-week Camp Mercer where our kids get the educational support and just the summer of a lifetime that every kid should have. And the joy. Upstairs here, you'll see we run a fully licensed childcare program. Childcare is a critical part to this whole equation. It is one of all the depressing statistics I can give you about the negative impacts of homelessness and poverty. We also know that access to high quality childcare can offset that. And it's also critical for the parents' long-term success. And then we run a number of big drives every year around the holidays. We're not going to watch that. So that's at the beginning. I hope that this is giving you a more nuanced version of homelessness and poverty in our community. I'm so excited that my colleagues are here too, because Homefront's experience is also only one experience, right? We're working in an urban center but we're kind of in this removed place, right? There are a lot of other dimensions to this, and that's why I'm glad that they're here to help complete the picture. But in terms of home front, that gives you a very speedy overview. And good news, I'm gonna be here all day. So yeah, you're gonna be here all day. So.
Just one follow-up question. Is there, this is only in Mercer County, right? Are there any plans, you have expansion desires to go into other counties?
Not really. I mean, yes and no. We get asked this all the time. We just went through a whole strategic planning process where we talked about this, and so it kind of becomes a question of depth versus width. Do you want to go deeper here or wider here? I think until I can feel confident that every family in Mercer County has access to an emergency housing solution, then it's somewhat irresponsible of me to branch that out in other communities. So at the moment,
the model itself, being transferable.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we are involved, as my friends are here, in a lot of statewide advocacy to help bring, I think, the important components of our model to bear in other parts of the community. But I also know some of what makes Homefront special is this place, right? When I talk about Connie Mercer, right? She really galvanized this community to say, this is unacceptable. And so we have thousands of volunteers and supporters, and as Mark mentioned, right, we're in this weird place where Princeton and Trenton are 10 miles apart, but couldn't be farther apart. You will, those of you who are paying attention will not be surprised to realize that the Homefront headquarters is literally 3 miles from both. So there's questions actually whether the model replicates in other communities where we haven't built that depth of engagement, because it really isn't Homefront coming in and saving the day. It's galvanizing the community to say this is unacceptable. There is no program here that works without volunteers, without community partners, all that tutoring, all the engagement. Yes, I have amazing staff, and none of them in the room right now, but it's also about galvanizing the community. So I would want to be very intentional about the right community. We do, work with some partners in other parts of the state, and as an example, we take referrals from Burlington and Monmouth if there's a parent who's in a domestic violence situation and they need. So it's a hot topic that my board discusses all the time. But at the moment, we have no plan to expand beyond this geography.
The lottery that you set up for the new apartment complex, is that the most ethical way to do that when you have about 400 applications in one kind of spot?
I was gonna say, just add that must be the most beautiful day, but also the most depressing
Yeah,
day.
can
to
you say more
witness
words
that. I mean,
about
that's
that?
incredible. That's incredible.
So we did those apartments I showed you that we were ribbon cutting at, we opened about 2 or 3 years ago. And the lottery's open to the public to encourage transparency, so you're not just picking your friends out of the basket. And a woman showed up that day who had applied. Again, we had many times over, and she had brought a suitcase with every piece of paperwork that she had in her whole life with her in that suitcase, because she needed in her soul to win that lottery so bad. That was her ticket. Thank you, she got picked. That's a great question, and it is for sure 100% mandate from our State Department of Community Affairs. So that's how we do it. I do embrace what they're trying to get out there, right? There's a requirement that we market it broadly, that we put it in the paper, we shout it from the rooftops, because there also used to be this kind of we have some apartments, oh, nobody applied, oh, too bad, right? So you have to have this kind of very affirmative marketing plan that you're reaching out, but it just gives you a sense of the depth of the need, right? That almost 400 people applied for 24 apartments. I'm gonna break, 380 people's hearts next Wednesday. But I can also, I'm sure my colleagues know this, it is basically a full-time job to find an apartment.
Yes.
So our families will apply to 20 a week, right? So they are not gonna come to the lottery, I mean, some will, but you go and you put in hundreds of applications all over the state with the hope that maybe you'll get picked one day. Maybe you're on the Section 8 voucher list. Did you know that when they open the list, they're just opening a waiting list to apply for the list?
Yeah.
You're not on the list. You're applying for a chance to apply for the list. It's not right, but I'm also here to tell you that our families are so used to that bureaucratic nightmare that unfortunately the system requires. Yeah.
Last question.
I'm new to the state, so Mercer County,
Yes.
because I'm looking at the faces of a lot of what you've shown here, and it looks like most of the individuals are African American or Black, and it looks like some Hispanic. What is the demographics of this county?
It is rapidly changing.
Okay.
So even when I began at Homefront, almost 10 years ago, it was, the families we were serving, I'll speak to, were probably 70% Black, maybe 5 to 10% Latino, and the balance white, very small number of Asian. Now, we've had a huge demographic shift in Mercer County. The Black and Hispanic and Latino population are almost equivalent, and the Latino population is growing much faster than the Black population. There is also a growing divide, and we can talk about this more, between the families that we're seeing in the shelter. Primarily the families in the shelter are still that prior demographic, probably 70 to 80% Black families. Some of that is because to access the shelter, it's through the governmental systems. The families that are, that have immigration challenges are not making it through that system. We know there's a housing crisis there, because if you go to my food pantry every day, it's probably 80% Hispanic and Latino coming to get food and diapers for their kids. And so there's this reckoning that's going to happen here pretty soon of the need in the immigrant populations. Personally, we don't ask about immigration status. I don't care, I don't need to know, unless it's a government funded program that requires me to ask. But I can tell you anecdotally that there is a great need that's there's row houses in South Trenton that have 15, 20 families in one row house, immigrant communities. So I had something that's funny, I took this slide out and it would have been perfect for what you're talking about. It is also, poverty in Mercer County, families of color are way overrepresented, right? Mercer County is not a majority minority county
That's what I was
overall.
trying to get to.
Yeah, the Blacks and Latinos are way overrepresented in the poverty statistics. They're experiencing poverty at much higher rates than white and also Asian American families.
Tremendous introduction, covering a lot of ground. I just want to do a little bit of tying some stuff together, and then we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll have our next panel.